Part 3, Chapters 38 to 42, Epilogue and Appendix of This Giddy Globe. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Graham Dunlop.
The Reader, read by David Lawrence.
This Giddy Globe, by Oliver Herford. Chapter 38. Arabia. Arabia is the home of the camel and the Bedouin. The camel may be likened to a desert ship. This is not new. He is a most ungainly craft, with frowning turrets fore and aft. We little realize on earth how much we owe to his great girth, for should he ever shrink so small as through the needle's eye to crawl, rich men might climb the golden stairs, and so leave nothing to their heirs. The camel is called the ship of the desert because its gait is said to resemble the motion of a ship. To be strictly accurate, it is 100 times worse than a ship, but not quite so bad as a motor bus. The Bedouin makes his bed in the sand, or bedrock, avoiding river beds or water in any form. He must not be confounded with the folding Bedouins of North America. The folding Bedouins are a semi-nomadic tribe, supposed by some to be related to the Hall Roumanians and the Red Incas of Bohemia. The inhabitants of Arabia are the most moral and patriotic in the world, and their army is second to none in bravery, and won the World War. Chapter 39. Australia. Anyone desiring a change from the wearisome rotation of our seasons should go to Australia, where spring commences on September the 23rd, summer on December the 22nd, autumn on March the 21st, and winter on June the 21st. The fauna of Australia, as if determined not to be outdone in eccentricity by the seasons, is represented by the Ornithorhynchus paradoxus, which Peter Simple has described in the following lines. My child, the duck-billed platypus, a sad example sets for us. From him we learn how indecision of character provokes derision. This vacillating beast, you see, could not decide which he would be, fish, flesh, or fowl, and chose all three. The scientists were sorely vexed. To classify him so perplexed, their brains that they with rage at bay called him a horrid name one day, a name that baffles, frights, and shocks us. Ornithorhynchus paradoxus. The inhabitants of Australia are the most moral and patriotic people in the world, and their army is second to none in bravery, and won the World War. Chapter 40. China. China is known as the Flowery Kingdom. It is the most exclusive flower garden in the world, and is surrounded by a high wall. The only flower that succeeds in climbing the high wall is the little flower of Pekoe, and her sisters who leave their porcelain paradise to cheer without inebriating the dull people of the outside world. The country of China, too, may be likened to a flower. Her treasure is the envy of the world, and flower-like she must remain rooted to the ground, while the busy bees from other lands relieve her of everything she possesses. Everyone agrees that China should have an open door, but the busy bee nations want a door that opens only inwards, while the flower nation wants a door that opens only outwards. At a recent conference of bees and flowers, Peter Simple suggested a revolving door as a compromise. a commission was at once appointed by President Chu Chin-chow to report on revolving doors. The matter is still being revolved. It may end in a revolution. The inhabitants of China are the most moral and patriotic people in the world, and their army is second to none in bravery, and won the World War. Chapter 41. Japan. Here we have long rows and columns of Japanese alphabets. Translation: the inhabitants of Japan are the most moral and patriotic people in the world, and their army is second to none in bravery, and won the World War. Chapter 42. Egypt, India, Italy, Spain, Greece, etc. No work on geography could be called complete without a description of these 6, counting, etc., countries. If the reader should ask me how I came to leave 6 such important countries to the last page, I should be compelled to change the subject. Writing a little geography book is like packing a very small bag for a journey round the world, only instead of cramming it with shirts and shoes and collars and handkerchiefs and brushes, you stuff it full of countries, and when you try to close it, as with the bag, you always find that you've left out at least several of the most important things. No amount of squeezing or sitting on the lid will make room for 6 such big countries in a little book that's already as full as it can be. The only thing to do is take out all the countries and lay them in a row and see which you can get along best without. You can't possibly spare any of the large countries. The question of how many of the little countries together would...
You are digressing again. Worse than ever. This thing has got to stop.
Oh, very well. If that's the way the reader feels about it, it shall stop right here. The end. Epilogue. If this little world tonight suddenly should fall through space, in a hissing headlong flight, shrivelling from off its face, as it falls into the sun, in an instant every trace of the little crawling things, ants, philosophers, and lice, cattle, cockroaches, and kings, beggars, millionaires, and mice, men and maggots, all as one, as it falls into the sun. Who can say but at the same instant from some planet far, a child may watch us and exclaim, "See the pretty shooting star!" Appendix. See next page. Next page. The appendix has been removed. End of Part 3. Chapters 38 to 42. Epilogue and Appendix. End of This Giddy Globe by Oliver Herford. Recording by Graham Dunlop.